Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Rerouting Logistics podcast, hosted by myself, John Wilson, and the former Senior Traffic Commissioner of the UK, Beverley Bell. And in today's episode, we're absolutely delighted to be joined by two guests. Firstly, we have Steve Johnson, who is the current Managing Director of UK Operations for FedEx. Steve has a fantastic and interesting background, spending over 30 years in the hospitality sector before transitioning into the logistics and haulage sector. Secondly, we have Jennifer Dixon, who is the head of compliance for FedEx. Now, Jen has also had an interesting background where she has worked largely within transport operations, left to go to recruitment, and then ultimately ended back within logistics and transport, now working for FedEx. So over to you, Beverley.
I'm delighted today to be speaking to Steve Johnson and Jennifer Dixon, who come from very different backgrounds and work for a very large parcel company, which we'll talk about later, but welcome and thank you for taking the time and coming and talking to us today. Bit of a double act because obviously we've got two of you. Who's worked there the longest?
I have.
Okay, so Steve, what do you do? And then we're going to talk about your background.
Okay. So I'm the Managing Director for Network Operations for the UK, Nordics and Eastern Europe.
And which company do you work for?
And I work for FedEx. And part of my remit is also looking after the road safety and compliance part, so your CPC.
And how long have you worked at FedEx?
I've been there 7 years.
Okay, born and brought up doing couriers and parcel work?
Clearly not. So 7 years, I'm still learning, but I was starting my career in hospitality and retail.
How did you get into that?
Well, I was applied for a part-time job as a pizza delivery driver. Didn't get the job.
How old were you when you did that, Steve?
I was 16.
Okay.
I was 16. I had a moped.
Had you got a moped licence?
I had a moped licence. So I thought I can go deliver pizzas, loads of money. Went for the interview. It was a great interview. Then to come out and said, nope, you can't have the job. You're too young. But I do have this job, which was answering the telephones for your delivery and takeaway. That was on a Friday, Saturday night. And then, over the few months and weeks and years, it just developed into a management position within 2 years.
So you literally started and worked your way up from the ground
Literally,
up.
yeah.
Did you do some waiting on as well?
Yep. So after they were short-staffed, they asked me to go out the front and be a waiter, which was very nerve-wracking. I now have to go see the customer, not just talk to them on the phone. So I did that, which was great fun. Earned loads of money on tips. So I like that part. And they were short-staffed in the kitchen. And then, so I said, I know the recipes, so why don't I give it a go?
So you've taken the orders, you've delivered them to the customer, and now you're actually making them?
Now I'm making them, yes. And then became a supervisor, so I was running the shifts with support of the management. And I said I want to be a manager, so I went on the management programs. And by the time I was 17 and a half, done those courses, couldn't become a manager because the alcohol license. So there's a regulation, you have to be a certain age.
So your youth is always getting in the way of your career development, Steve.
Yes, youth is always a challenge. And since I become 18, got an assistant manager job. I loved it. It was a great job. I was running a restaurant at 18 years old, which is brilliant.
Well, some people might not think so. You did.
Yeah, I did. I just loved it. It's just engaging with people, the team, seeing them have fun with the customers having fun. I just got a real buzz out of it. And then, I just, thought I need a new adventure now. So I went into retail, try something different, which was good. Different because you're not as customer facing, and it's more about how do you move the product quickly as possible. But I went into a management role straight away, learned that I can transfer my leadership of caring for my team, leading them, making decisions, looking for excellence. Well, I can do that in any industry. And then,
transferable skills.
Absolutely transferable, but I knew nothing about retail.
Okay, so we're going to hold that thought.
Yeah, sure.
And we're now going to come and speak to Jen.
Mm-hmm.
So you do work in transport. You've worked in transport logistics for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Tell me how your degree that you did at university prepared you for the world of transport and logistics.
It absolutely didn't. So I had a fashion degree at university, and
you were going to be a fashion designer, the new Vivienne Westwood.
Well, yeah, that was the plan. It didn't quite work out that way. Finished university, did the old gap year, went travelling for a bit.
Tell our listeners how many gap years you had, Jennifer.
I had one before university and I had one afterwards.
So you had 2?
Yes.
Okay.
One was only a few months.
All right.
But
Well, we'll let you off then.
Well, yeah, altogether it was good. It was quite a while, but
what did you learn from your gap years?
It was travelling around the world and meeting different people, different walks of life, seeing different countries, experience different cultures.
What did you learn?
I learned actually that I could, there was times during that period we were with friends where I'd be by myself and spent kind of the odd week here and there by myself and learning how to just eat by yourself. I know it sounds like a bit of a ridiculous thing.
No, it's not.
Being able to eat in a restaurant by yourself, just having that alone time and that downtime. I need that sometimes, and I think that helped me develop, and also having to speak to people that I didn't know.
Maybe the language
strangers,
that you didn't speak.
Yeah, and just building the confidence, because from school was always the shy, quiet one. So it was more of a confidence building, I guess, experience and seeing different countries, cultures, people. Loved every second of it.
Okay, so you come back, you've got to knuckle down, you've got to get a job.
Reality hits.
They're not advertising for fashion designers, in every major town. So what did you do?
The expectation of leaving uni and going into that kind of work was quickly diminished, and I was doing odd jobs, bit of retail, working in a bar and things like that. And then a family friend, they had a transport business.
Oh dear. That's where it all goes wrong.
Dear. And so I started working there as an administrator within the sales team. And then after a few weeks, someone who did the planning went off sick, and they asked me to do it.
They didn't.
They did. And that's kind of where it all started, really.
So what did you have to plan?
I had
lorries
to
or vans?
All the vans. So we had a van fleet, and we used to collect bulk mail from customers and sort it in our warehouse and redistribute it out to well-known mailing company for final mile to people, to addresses.
So how did you plan it? Manually?
Yes, so it was spreadsheets.
And was it a fantastic success, Jennifer?
Not on the first go, no. I forgot to book in the time slots with said company, so everything got rejected. But we did manage to fix it. We got everything delivered and everything collected that needed to
day?
That day.
So how did you fix it? How did you fix it if you hadn't booked in the slots?
Just a lot of pleading with, the customer services teams, and a lot of help from colleagues at the time who knew where I'd slipped up and were able to help me out on that one.
So how did you feel at the end of that, which sounds to me like a really important day in your career? Great success that came out of great failure.
It was a learning point, and at the end of the day I felt like we'd actually achieved something, and that was the point where I was like, I like this. I like this plan and lark, and that feeling of success of getting everything delivered and everything collected on time.
Because sometimes younger people these days don't feel that they should fail, or they don't feel they want to. And yours turned out to be a success, and obviously you've done everything really well, and it was a crisis situation.
Yeah.
But do you think it's important for us as we go along in our careers to fail at things we do?
100%. I think.
And you're nodding as well, Steve.
Yeah.
Go on, Jen.
Got to learn from. As long as you're learning from the mistakes, you are going to make mistakes. Okay. Nobody's perfect. And within transport and logistics, there's always going to be challenges and curveballs thrown at you, and it's how you adapt and how you work with that to get the job done.
Okay. So you do your planning. They let you stay in the planning team of one.
I did, yeah, planning team of one with my spreadsheet, and I was there for a few years, and I loved it, and that kind of really was the start of the transport and logistics. Don't want to be too cheesy with this one, journey, kind of went from there really.
And what's your current role?
Current role is I oversee the road safety and operator license compliance. So within that, we've got the
for FedEx.
For FedEx, yeah, we've got the compliance team and the operational training team. So yeah, very different from where I started.
Very different beginnings.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So just going back to you, Steve, you were talking about going from hospitality to resale. Why aren't you still in resale? Or hospitality?
Or both, yeah. The thing for me is you got to have a buzz in the customer-facing roles. So you got to have a buzz, you've got to be excited to go to work because you got to then pass it on to your team who may have a down day. So if I turn up and I'm not at my best and smiling, my team won't be smiling and happy, and that goes on to the customer's experience, which you want your customer experience to be the best. So I lost my excitement for the industry, which is a hard thing. That's what I thought also I knew. I was like, what do I do? So I sat there and said, right, I've got to make a decision. I either stay in the industry, get my excitement back and find what that is, or I look outside the industry. So I just started looking on job boards and different companies and thought, if I could work for any company in the world, what would it be? And it wasn't necessarily the product, because that's not what the company's purchasing from me, let's put it that way. They're buying me and my skills. So I refined what my skills were, which were people leadership. So how do I care for people? How do I provide excellence? How do I take care of the external customer, so commit to do good? How do I look forward thinking? How do I then bring that all together so we're delivering the best operation? That's what I do. So I look for companies who look for something similar. So it's either wording in their job application or their websites. And I came across a company called FedEx. And at the time I was like, who's FedEx?
Had you seen Castaway at that
I've watched
stage?
the film, but it took me a while to join the dots, if I was honest, because I didn't go, who's FedEx? So when I started reaching, I was like, that film, FedEx, Castaway. Okay, makes sense now. But I knew one company called TNT, who FedEx had just acquired, and because they were doing deliveries to Costa coffee stores. So I thought, okay, I can understand that what they do. That's their product. But I was looking for a company whose values were resonating with me, the way they came across in their websites or talking to people. So I'd done some research about the company. So when I was interviewing, I was very lucky to get an interview because I thought, this guy's from hospitality. Would I even offer the interview to this person if I was the other side? And I thought, I've got to make my CV and cover letter shout about the person they want, which was about people. So I got the interview, very excited, and connected with the person interviewing my time. Still work with him today, and I connected with the HR team who were also on the panel, and I thought, I like these people. I can work with these people.
It's important.
It's really important because they're the ones you're going to work with every day. Then I thought, can I work with this company? And everyone I met on that journey, although a short one, I just got on with them.
Okay.
I liked them. I was like, I can work for this company.
Okay.
So
you mentioned Costa. Okay,
yes.
Costa Coffee.
Yeah,
now, I know, but our listeners don't yet know.
Yeah.
You worked for Costa Coffee, didn't you?
Yes, I did work for Costa
What did
Coffee.
you do for Costa Coffee?
So I was an area manager for stores within Hertfordshire, Bedfordshire and Buckinghamshire. So I had about 25 stores under my remit. Fantastic team, fantastic people I worked with, great head office team. So my job was to provide the best service to every single customer who came in that day.
Because you're very customer facing, aren't you? You
Yes,
talk all the time
100%.
about the customer. And it wasn't when you moved on, it wasn't that you fell out with Costa, it was that you fell out with the sector.
Yes.
The industry. So when you then go to work in transport and logistics, did you get the odd comment about having come from a coffee company?
Yes, because I've learned that logistics is a life job. Most people I've met started as an entry level role. Could be a handler, could be someone in the office like Jennifer who worked done some admin, then became a planner, and now she's running compliance teams and training teams. Even people who are CEOs have started somewhere. So our CEO started as a marketeer in the marketing department.
This is at Costa?
No, this is at FedEx.
Is it FedEx, right?
So the CEO of FedEx, $1 billion company, $90 billion company, he used to work in entry-level marketing. Most people I meet who are in any role started somewhere. But when I was in Costa, I lost my excitement for the job. It wasn't the people. I loved the people, and I actually cried when I left.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I don't think they did, but you know, I think they cheered. But I just so emotional because I'm leaving people I love working with.
But when you
I
went
lost passion.
when you went to transport and logistics,
Yes.
which you're saying lots of people have been there for life.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
How do
Didn't answer your question.
how do they regard you when you come along?
Yes, with caution. Like, you know, because I've come from outside, I'm not logistics. I don't know what they do.
Some disparaging remarks?
Occasional, but that was fine. You know, I took it on. You know, I was the new guy entering in their world, not them entering my world. So there were some remarks, but they weren't bad. They were all of good jest. And I'll talk to the people. I'll say, why did you make that comment? Like, because I'm nervous. You've come in, you used to sell coffee, and now you're doing a job I've taken 10, 15 years to work for. I find it scary, but I like you as a person. I do it out of nerves. So whilst people might say disparaging remarks, it's all of good intent. And for
So
me,
you're looking at it from their viewpoint, which
Yeah.
is a smart thing to do.
absolutely, because everyone's there to do good. I don't think anyone wakes up any day and goes, I'm going to do bad today.
I agree with that completely. So can I ask you, you'll have seen lots of similarities.
Yep.
You know, all those transferable skills you spoke about a few moments ago, but you'll also see some real differences.
Yep.
What's the best thing that's different about transport and logistics, and what's the worst thing?
Okay, so that's not the worst. The worst thing is that it's unsung. You know, people in logistics don't get mentioned until it's gone wrong, because it just works. For me, it's an organic thing that happens, and you'll have a parcel delivered, either it's your business or home, and it just happens. It's like magic. But when it goes wrong, that's when people know something's gone wrong in the chain. So that's one thing I don't like. I don't think we're appreciated enough across the globe of what we
I
do.
completely agree.
So I'd love for logistics to start getting more recommendations and recognition for what we do, because you know, through all the good times and bad times, it's always been there every single day.
It's in times of crisis like COVID that people recognise the industry and
Yes.
its importance and value,
Absolutely.
and then they happily forget about it when the world goes back to normal.
Exactly. And that's a great thing, because that means you're doing your job. Your job is to deliver service perfectly.
Yeah.
So when you're not heard, it's great. But you just want a bit more, we're not hearing from them, so they must be doing a great job.
Okay.
And then the best thing I love about it is all the people. We've got 10,000 people in the UK, 600,000 people across the globe. And every one I've met is so passionate about what they do. They could be loading the trailer, loading a container for the plane. They could be putting the containers on a plane. They could be working in a control room, making sure the hub is working on time perfectly. But everyone I meet is passionate about it. So passionate. Like, they know what it means, because that parcel is individual. There might be thousands, but we move 17 million packages a day. But that one is globally, yeah. And that one, someone knows that could be either a really important document, could be their university certificate, which is really important to that one person. Could be a T-shirt for that night out. Could be a wedding ring. It could even be a medical implementation, a tool for a surgeon for the next day to save someone's life. And everyone knows that message. So you turn up and everyone's excited to do it, and turn up every day to deliver for a customer.
Okay. We talk about customer a lot here, and I'm going to come to Jen in a moment because hers is not so customer facing. When the customer's present, we might act a little more differently.
Yep.
We might be a little more professional. We might smile a bit more. And then when they've gone, we might be a bit more grumpy. Our language might change.
Yeah.
Tell me your experiences of language.
Yeah, so hospitality and retail, you're putting on a show. It's all about a show. So that a customer comes in, you're smiling, you're happy, you want them to be there for the next hour, 2 hours, enjoying their meal, having a great time, because then they come back. And then one of my previous managers said, the best thing to do is look after the kids, not the parents. Because if the kids are having a great time, the parents have a great time because the kids are looked after. But also, then the next generation are going to come back to your restaurant in 10 years' time.
Wise words.
Very wise. But in logistics, you don't see the customer. The only people who see the customer are either the driver when they're picking up or delivering, or the salesperson who meets them. So some of the language could be a bit fruitful. And that shook me because I'm like, in my world, you did not swear. Like, you shouldn't use swear words. And I was like, everyone was swearing. I was like, oh my God, what have I done? But it was just a culture of who they are. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, it's just what happens. I knew people swore. But for me, hearing it a lot, from not hearing it, that shook me.
So do you call that out?
I do, yeah. Because
and does that make people change their language?
Yes and no. They might then swear back at me. But no, they do, because I understand we've got internal customers, which is our colleagues, and external customers. And not everyone may like the swearing, but because it's a cultural thing, it doesn't make it right. So logistics is a long-standing game, and I've heard lots of stories. But it doesn't mean we can't change the culture of how we are perceived from outside in. And I've met some interns recently. I said, would you like to join in the future? But they're a bit cautious because of the culture, and they can see where we're changing, but they research the companies before they go, and they research the industry. So they say, well, I came with caution because I heard logistics is X, Y, and Z. Well, actually, they're seeing something different. But how do you get that message out there? And for me, FedEx is one of those companies who are leading that way, where we're people focused, we always commit to do good, and also our people are people leaders. We're not demanders.
Okay. So that all sounds lovely and glossy, shiny brochure, and aren't we marvellous? Jen's at the other end. Jen's at the sharp end, making sure that it's done compliantly to make sure those pesky traffic commissioners don't get all uptight and start worrying about things, or police or DVSA or whoever. So, first of all, do you encounter a lot of bad language in your role over the years? I'm not talking about a company. I'm talking about generally over the years.
Yes, and I'm probably one of those people who's got very accustomed to it. And
so, have you moderated your language?
Yeah, I have. In the last since moving jobs and company, I have had to dial it back, and I'm so much more cautious of it now. And I do try and watch what I say, and the odd one still slips out every now and again. But after 18 years, it's kind of ingrained. So I am being extra careful of my choice of words. But you're right. It's kind of almost a given, and until you step back out of it a little bit, you kind of it becomes the norm when maybe it shouldn't.
And that's all about organisational psychology.
Yes.
And culture and values and behaviour. So, because my language is appalling, and I'm trying really hard to moderate my language, but people will respond more positively if you speak to them with respect.
Yes.
And don't sometimes you feel the need to swear. Advisedly, sometimes you don't. So, what's your approach when you're dealing with compliance? Whether it's with I'm sure you don't deal with the drivers directly very often, but whether it's a driver or a manager, maybe somebody at your level, maybe somebody at a more senior level, what's your approach? Are you shouty or are you quiet?
It depends what the situation is, I'll be honest with you. I think I am learning to be a bit more diplomatic with how I approach things, and that has come with the years of experience and dealing with different situations. And it depends on the situation itself. And I think for me, from a compliance point of view, and trying to build compliance shouldn't be seen as a separate thing that people have to do. It shouldn't be a burden. It should just be built into the day-to-day and the routine. So therefore, if we're doing that every day, then when something does happen, and inevitably it will, because it is transport, and we're not going to be perfect 100% of the time, but as long as we've done what we were supposed to do and we react in the right way to it, then there's no reason to go in all guns blazing.
So how did you go from planning to compliance, and which do you prefer?
I prefer the compliance. I think definitely in the planning there was a bit more shouting and swearing maybe. So once I'd finished where I was doing the planning and a bit of customer services as well, moved into HGV driver recruitment. Again, learned a lot there, dealing with different clients, customers, meeting drivers, and really understanding the day-to-day of things.
Why did you move into driver recruitment? That's very different from what you were doing.
It is. I actually, when I left the planning role, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't even know if I wanted to be in the industry still. and took kind of a step back from it a little bit. Did
So a
again.
bit like Steve, you lost your mojo on it.
I just kind of, there was a moment I was like, I'm not sure about this anymore. And then whilst looking for other jobs, I got a call off the recruitment agency, and they were looking for a recruitment consultant specialising in HGV drivers. And again, I went and I met with them, and I was there for a couple of hours just chatting away. And again, a bit like you go, oh, I can work with these people. It wasn't something that was on my radar, driver recruitment at all. But I liked the company, and I liked the person that was interviewing me, and that went from there, really.
So in a way, the job was almost secondary. You liked the culture, the people, the individual, the job you can do if you're able.
Again, and they saw that I could transfer the skills that I had.
So for our listeners, especially the younger ones, or maybe the not so young ones who are thinking, shall I change? Shall I pivot? I think is the word they use these days. It's not a word but shall I go in a different direction? You would say, go for it. You would say, don't.
Yeah. And I think that's it with every stage of my career. I've had to take a bit of a leap of faith with every job move I've had. And, grateful that it's worked out at every step, and I'm in the position I am now. And I enjoy what I do. Compliance isn't everyone's cup of tea, but
no, it isn't.
I like process, and I like structure, and that's what it gives me. And I like fixing the problem, making things better.
Okay. So I just want to come to Steve and ask Steve a question too about sort of personal things. I'll come back to you on that as well. So I know, again, our listeners don't know, that there came a time in your life where you weren't very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you were about 28 at the time. Tell our listeners what happened.
Yeah, so...
and I know you're happy to talk about this. I need to make it clear to our listeners. I'm not forcing you to talk about something that you don't want to.
No, I'm very happy to talk about it because I think it's very important. We don't talk about these things enough. So before joining Costa, I spent a couple of years contracting. And the reason for that was I got diagnosed with a brain tumour. And the brain tumour was quite serious because it was near my spinal cord, which could be really severe. So back in 2013, I just felt some twinges in my face, which are a bit like an electric shock. And it started burning a little bit, which was very strange. So I went to the doctor. I said what my symptoms were. He gave me some tablets, said try these, see if it goes away, because it might just be your sinuses pushing up against your nerves. Fortunately, it didn't go away, so I went back, saw the doctor again, and he said, well, it might be something where the nerve sheath has disappeared, so it might be a life thing, you're going to have this for life. And I was like, oh, this is not nice, because the pain is quite horrible. Yeah, it was quite deliberating, because I would have so much pain, I'll just freeze, and I'll start crying because I couldn't deal with it. So it's not just me, it's my family who have seen me go through this pain. So it didn't go away, so I went back and the doctor said, look, let's get an MRI. Let's see if we can see anything.
So this time period of these 3 doctors' visits, what time period was that?
2013 to 2014.
Wow, it's a long time.
It is and it is not, because I didn't listen to my body. Well, that's my own fault. I thought, it's just something that'll disappear. I thought it'll be fine, it'll go away. And it didn't. What I should have done was gone back to the doctors sooner and asked, I think it's something really serious, can I have a scan? But that was me, that time frame was me. So we got an MRI, came back with this diagnosis of tumour, and they went through my options within, I think it was two weeks. Diagnosis to consultant was 2 weeks, really quick. So once I got going, the NHS were really there to support me. So they said, right, we can have surgery, we need to complete this, and you've got to obviously go through the back of my ear, above the ear, and we'll cut it out. And that sounds very drastic and quite scary, and it was. So for me, my relatively new partner, we've been together a few years, but we were only just moved in together, and it was still kind of a new relationship, like a few years in. And I thought, oh, she's going to run away because I've got this thing that's going to happen to me, but she was there every single day, and she's my rock. She's just brilliant. And so yeah, I had the surgery in 2015, and because of that, a consequence was The surgery above my ear means automatic suspension of license. So I've lost my ticket to
your
drive.
car driving license, yeah.
I can't drive anymore, and I live at a time in Bedford, and it's got a train into London, but you can't get anywhere left or right unless you get a bus. So I was like, my job is field-based. I drive everywhere. What am I going to do? So the company were supportive at the time in hospital, but I said, I don't know how long I'm going to be off work for, or how long I'm going to have to just not drive for. It's not fair on them, it's not fair on my team, and it's not, for me, the right thing. So I said, look, I'll resign and find a new job. So I found a job where I could work from home. I could do a management job working from home, which is very common today because of COVID. It's changed the way we work. But before then, working from home was a rare thing. So done some contract work for a couple of companies. So a couple of years went by, well, a year went by, and I could reapply for my license to be given back to me. So I had to have another MRI scan. They said it was all clear, give it to the doctor. So yes, you can drive again. It's brilliant. Best news. Like that, losing your freedom is one thing. And that for me was my freedom. My reason I got my moped at 16 years old was freedom.
Yes.
Losing your car, like my wife had to drive me everywhere, and my friends or family had to drive me everywhere, and I drive them around the bend. So it was good for them and good for me. So I got my license back, and that's when I applied for Costa Coffee to get back into full time.
So you said something there about listening to your body. So for those who are listening, who might be thinking, oh, I've got this thing with my body and it'll go away, I'll just carry on. What's your message to them?
Don't. Listen to your body. Go and get it checked out. It'll take half hour, an hour of your day, but at least you'll get the answer.
But what if the doctor's pushing back?
I've never known a doctor to push back. Doctors have the best intention of every single person in this country and globally. That's what they do. They're there to look after everyone. And if they could look after everyone, they would. So they'll be helping you. They'll take you on a journey.
So you're saying that the doctors who, the first two you visited, you're saying they gave you that advice because you weren't actually telling them how seriously this was affecting you?
Yes.
That's really interesting to hear.
Yes. I say it was a minor issue, but it's causing me some discomfort.
But because you were trying to minimise it, potentially.
Yeah, because I thought it was nothing.
Right, that's a really good message.
Very clear, very transparent. You've got to give them all your symptoms, not just the ones you think are important, so that they can make the diagnosis. Because I think if I'd given them all the right information at the beginning, or how severe it was and pain levels, because this was a 10. Like, I broke my arm. That wasn't a 10. This was a 10. Like, to curl up in a ball of pain, that's a 10. But I didn't tell the doctor that. It's until I got annoyed with it keep going on, that's when I went to say, look, I think it's really serious. And he said, let's get it scanned. So being open, being transparent, that's the key. Because doctors will help you with all the information they've got. And they'll give you the right treatment based on that information.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, it's very personal, but thank you for.
No, we've got to. You said it. In this industry, it's a very different industry, but men generally don't talk about things.
They don't.
And that we have to, and I'm really glad to see more and more famous people are coming out and saying, I've been diagnosed, to encourage, which is great. But it doesn't take celebrity to do it. It just takes us to talk to one another and share between us, because I've got colleagues at work who have had diagnosis and I didn't know until they openly told me straight away.
Well, so just make this relatable as well to what Jen does. It's very common, is it not, for drivers, and I'll sort of direct my questions to Jen now, but very common for drivers who might have a problem, might be sleep apnea, it might be, oh, my heart's a bit racy, or whatever, or my eyesight's a bit blurry. I'll be fine.
Yep.
I mean, lots of things on the internet about it, but the tendency is not to tell because you're worried you're going to lose your driver's license to drive a lorry. Now, you talked about losing your car license. So, Jen, if I can ask you about this, clearly in compliance, it's always going to be a balance between risk management, making sure that that driver is safe to go on the road at that particular time of day or night, and also recognising that there might be an impact on them and on their family life. How do you deal with that? Again, I know you won't necessarily manage the drivers individually yourself. You'll have people to do that, the transport managers. What advice do you give to the transport managers in terms of how to manage that?
I think it's just a reminder to treat drivers as employees, as we would do with anybody else. Because I do think sometimes, as an industry, we kind of see them as a different pool of this.
We can be very disparaging of, well, I'm not, but we can be very disparaging of drivers when in fact they do a marvellous job.
Yeah, exactly.
And are undervalued.
Yeah, and I think that's it. It's as an operator, as a business, we've got to make sure the drivers are fit to drive, and we've got to do our bit within that, and they've got to be responsible for making sure themselves that they are fit to drive, and that they are disclosing any medical issues or concerns. But we've got to make that safe space for them as well, and they've got to feel comfortable with feeding that back, to be able to say, I'm not feeling right at the minute, or to be able to go and ask for advice of what they should do, like where do I go, what support is there for them, because you're right that they've got to balance out any concerns or any issues with the fact that if they raise it, there is a potential they could lose license, and then what do they do? But as a company, we've got to be able to support that.
Or they could lose their life.
Yeah.
And somebody else's, because it's actually about their safety.
Exactly.
And they're okay. That's really helpful to know and interesting. So, one of my favourite sayings in life is from John Lennon. Life is what happens when you're busy making plans. Okay, and transport logistics knows that probably more than most other sectors. You plan for this, and then something happens, the motorway's closed or whatever. And sometimes curveballs hit us in our own sort of personal lives. Now, I know you've both got children. You've both got young children. If your daughter, who's tiny, said, "Mummy, I want to go into transport logistics or warehousing or something like that," would you put them off and say, "Don't be ridiculous, darling, go and do something that's a proper job"?
Absolutely not. I would be more than happy if she wanted to do that, and I would encourage her to.
Even though it's still a male-dominated world, even though sometimes it can be a challenge?
Yes, because that's part of the fun. And I think it's part of it, for me, there's just multiple opportunities there. There's career progression. You can go in any direction you want. No 2 days are the same. It's challenge. And I just think it's a great industry to work in. And I think, as time moves on and as we want everything now and the next day and immediately, or and even with technology coming in, I still think the industry isn't going anywhere. It can't go anywhere because it's critical to everyday life.
And that point you made about you can go in any direction you want to. Transport and logistics is a very wide phrase, but it covers so many disciplines within that. Okay. So, Steve, you've got 2 children.
Yep.
Okay, again, small, young children. What are you going to say to them? Hospitality and retail, or transport and logistics?
It feels a bit like a competition. I love the journey I've been on because what it's taught me about who I am and how I behave and look after people has got me where I am today in logistics. So, my journey, I'll say, go on your journey. Everybody's journey is going to be different. Mine's been very squiggly. But to my boys, they see a FedEx truck and they're proud. They say, "Daddy, you work for them. You look after them." But to anyone who wants to get into logistics, even my wife, she works in recruitment, but she works for a recycling company, which is a logistics of waste. So she's proud to work for a company. She works for, I love the company I work for, but it is so diverse. I work in operations, which is moving the parcel from A to B.
The sharp end
of the stick. But behind me, supporting me, is thousands of people who either work in marketing, in finance, IT, in compliance, in engineering, HR. Within our business, we've got most companies out there. We've got departments bigger than some companies. So it's so diverse that you could be working on the planes, you could be working on the trucks, you could be working on the vans, you could be working on the boats, you could be working on the trains. It could be a warehouse. It could be about bringing AI into logistics.
Well, I was going to ask you both about AI.
And robotics, they're not going to take over the job because it's so complex. They're going to support people doing the jobs and complement them. So I would say it's probably one of the most exciting times to be in logistics because there's such a forward-looking lens on it at the moment. How do we make this more efficient? Because the world is changing.
Okay.
But we've got to change the structure we have around it to help the customer who want that parcel. I want to order it at 5 p.m. Yeah, I want to order it at 5 p.m. and it's on my door by 8 p.m. Like that's a miracle to happen, but we're working to get there.
Steve, I'm old enough to remember when people used to buy things from catalogues.
Yes.
And it said, please allow 28 days for delivery, which will seem really odd to our young listeners. So quick fire question. AI, opportunity or threat in your operations world?
Massive opportunity.
Okay. Jen, in your world, AI, your world of compliance, opportunity or threat?
Opportunity. Huge.
So do you think transport managers will be replaced by AI?
I don't know.
Good.
I don't. But I think AI can be a massive help and support to transport managers in the day-to-day. And I think that's where the opportunity is. We've got to use it in the right way and utilise it properly, but huge opportunity.
And I compliment because logistics is a people business. We move stuff around the world, but it is a people business. You're always going to need people. So it's how do we help them and make it easier for them to do their jobs.
Okay. So I think your answer was transport and logistics every time, because never once in there did you mention hospitality or retail. Okay.
I love my customers, but I love the customers at a distance.
You're back to customer. Okay, so I've asked you lots of questions and you've been very gracious in your answers, and it's been really interesting listening to what you've had to say. It's not compulsory. There is an opportunity if you want to ask me a question or to turn the tables. So I'll go ladies first.
What's been your highlight in your transport logistics career?
I don't think I can answer that question. What I can say is I'm 66. Mm-hmm. I could have retired, but I love getting up and going to work. Yep. And I would say go and spend a week doing different things in different transport companies, and then I defy you not to go, oh my gosh, I love that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yep.
So I'm going to thank you both very much indeed for your time.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you've enjoyed talking to me as much as I've enjoyed listening to you. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure.